Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq, with daily insight on the Nasdaq-100 index, or the NDX, which is made up of 100 of the largest domestic and international non-financial innovative companies listed on the Nasdaq stock market. The NDX has been the barometer for U.S. large cap growth and also one of the best performing indexes over the last decade and a half, not to mention one of the most liquid index ecosystems in the world. Joining me this afternoon, we have ShawnCruz. He's a manager of trader services over at TD Ameritrade. We're going to take a look at the performance of the Nasdaq-100 and if this potential consolidation could serve as a base to break out to the upside. Shawn, it's great to have you with me. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. Always happy to come on.
All right, Shawn, let's take a look at today's performance as well as the heat map to see what's driving it.
Yeah, so it looks like right now that some of the other sectors are finally starting to catch up. And we've talked quite a bit about just the strength that we've been seeing out of a lot of those companies that you see in the NASDAQ. A lot of those tech-focused companies, IT, communication services, had incredible performance so far this year. And it looks like it's sort of butting up against this resistance on the upside. And I think really what needs to happen is you need to get more participation from some of the other sectors that are going to be a little bit more cyclical in nature. And if you look at what we're seeing today, we're seeing a lot energy, materials, industrials. Those are the sectors that are performing well today. Those are the ones we really, I think, need to catch up with the incredible performance of the NASDAQ if we're going to get another move higher. But consolidating here, I think, could help us get a base that we can rally off of, assuming reopenings continue to go somewhat smoothly, as smooth as can be expected, and you see more and more of those restrictions being loosened. I think that's what's going to drive a lot of those cyclical type stocks is starting to see more economies getting reopened.
All right, let's take a look at the VIX here and other volatility readings to see if it is confirming what the data is saying. It's not quite bad as it could have been, or we've already passed the bad data. Do you think it's starting to be reflected in the VIX?
I do think so. And that was one thing I think is going to really let you know if sentiment is improving to a point where you are going to start getting more broad-based purchasing of equities. As you start to see the VIX move lower and lower, I think that is indicative of a little bit more of a risk appetite. So as we're seeing these reopenings proceed, you'll see if those are going well and we're actually starting to get the economies fired up again. That I think is what will give people a bit more optimism, and you'll see the VIX continue to move lower as sentiment improves. But right now, I think the VIX is at a little bit of a holding pattern here while we see how these reopenings go.
All right, Shawn, to wrap up here, we actually have some earnings to talk about. Ambarella set to report.
Ambarella, another NASDAQ listed company. They have earnings coming out tonight. I know we've got the bulk of the earnings season behind us. There are still going to be some names worth paying attention to. Ambarella is pretty big in the tech space, and the stock has been just grinding higher, moving steadily higher and higher. The thing that's interesting about where it's at right now is it looks like it might be running out of steam here a little bit. And if you look on the chart, I put up the volume at price levels because you sort of see the volume start to fall off at prices above where it's at now. Analysts, quite a few analysts come out, some have given it upgrades, some have it at hold, but they all have their price target around the $60 level as well. So I think the earnings tonight is going to be something interesting to see if this is what can maybe break Ambarella up and get some volume going at the prices above. But certainly right now, the markets are pricing in about a 10% range for Ambarella to be trading in post earnings. So still expecting some pretty decent move here for Ambarella after we get their earnings out.
All right, Shawn, great. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks for joining us. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq.